Listen carefully. Right now, as you watch this, you probably just shared your next big plan with someone. Maybe it was your business idea, your financial goal, or that life change you've been planning. You felt good about it, didn't you? You felt important, validated, like you were already halfway there just by talking about it. But here's what you don't realize yet. Every word you spoke just stole power from your dream. Every detail you revealed just gave someone else the ability to influence, doubt, or even sabotage what was meant to be yours alone. I am Solomon, the richest man who ever walked this earth, and I'm about to share with you the one principle that separated me from every other dreamer who had good intentions but mediocre results. The principle that built empires, while others built only conversations. You see, there's a reason why most people announce their plans but never achieve them. There's a reason why the loudest dreamers are often the poorest executors. And there's a reason why true wealth, real power, authentic transformation happens in silence, in the shadows, away from the eager ears that want to feast on your potential before you've had the chance to realize it yourself. Today, you're not just going to learn a strategy. You're going to discover who you really are when you stop seeking approval and start building in secret. You're going to understand why kings throughout history protected their moves like sacred treasures, and why the moment you master this principle, you'll never be the same person again. This isn't about becoming paranoid or antisocial. This is about becoming powerful. This is about transforming from someone who talks about success into someone who simply embodies it, surprising the world with achievements they never saw coming. The question is, are you ready to close your mouth and open your future? Are you ready to become the kind of person who speaks through results, not through promises? If your answer is yes, then subscribe to this channel right now, because what you're about to discover in the next few minutes will change not just how you pursue your goals, but how you see yourself as someone capable of achieving them in complete, strategic silence. Number 1, plans are seeds, not announcements. You plant a seed in your garden and immediately run to your neighbor to show them the empty soil where you buried it. You describe in detail what will grow there, how tall it will become, what fruits it will bear. Your neighbor listens, nods, maybe even offers advice about fertilizer or watering schedules. You feel validated, important, like a real gardener. But when you return to your garden weeks later, you find nothing but barren earth where your dream was supposed to bloom. This is the tragedy I witness every day among those who mistake announcement for action, who confuse sharing for caring, who believe that speaking about their plans somehow brings them closer to reality. They do not understand that every plan, every dream, every vision you carry in your heart is like that fragile seed. It requires not sunlight and applause, but darkness and silence to take root. When I ruled Israel, I learned something that transformed not just my reign, but my entire understanding of how power truly works. I learned that everything still in formation exists in its most vulnerable state. A seed that has just been planted can be destroyed by the slightest disturbance. A plan that has just been conceived can be shattered by the wrong word from the wrong person at the wrong time. This is why nature hides its most precious processes. The butterfly transforms in the darkness of its cocoon, not on display for all to see. Your plans are no different. They are living, breathing entities that require the same protection, the same careful nurturing, the same respectful distance from those who would interfere with their natural growth. Yet most people treat their plans like entertainment, like stories to be shared at dinner parties, like achievements that exist simply because they were spoken aloud. I remember a merchant who came to me during the height of my reign. He had developed what he claimed was a revolutionary trading route that would make him wealthy beyond imagination. But instead of quietly building his network, securing his partnerships, testing his theories in small increments, he spent months telling everyone who would listen about his brilliant strategy. He described every detail, every connection, every potential profit margin. Within weeks, 3 other merchants had copied his approach. Within months, the route was oversaturated, the profits diminished, and the opportunity lost. He came to me asking for justice, for protection from those who had stolen his idea. But I had to tell him a truth that shattered his understanding of how the world works. No one stole from him. He gave his treasure away freely, willingly, eagerly to anyone who would listen. This is what happens when you treat your plans as announcements instead of seeds. External opinion becomes the soil in which your dreams attempt to grow, and external opinion is contaminated soil. It is filled with the fears of others, the limitations of their experience, the projections of their own failures. When you plant your seed in that soil, it cannot grow into what it was meant to become. Instead, it becomes a distorted version of itself, shaped by the expectations and judgments of people who never had your vision to begin with. But there is another way. There is the way of silence, the way of patience, the way of allowing your plans to mature in the fertile darkness of your own commitment. When you keep your plans silent, something extraordinary happens. They begin to reveal themselves to you more clearly. Without the noise of external voices, you can hear the subtle guidance of your own intuition. Without the pressure of others watching and waiting for results, you can make mistakes, adjust, improve, and evolve your approach in real time. Silence allows natural maturation. Just as a fruit that is picked too early will never reach its full sweetness, a plan that is shared too early will never reach its full potential. The silence is not empty space. It is incubation time. It is the period when your subconscious mind works through the complexities, when unexpected connections form, when better solutions emerge. I built the temple in Jerusalem not by announcing my intentions to the world, but by quietly securing the materials, carefully selecting the craftsmen, meticulously planning every detail in the privacy of my own counsel. Only when the foundation was already laid, only when the structure was already taking shape, only when success was inevitable did I reveal what I had been building. By then, it was too late for anyone to interfere, too late for anyone to offer unwanted advice, too late for anyone to plant seeds of doubt. This is the first lesson of wealth, of power, of achievement that transcends the ordinary. Your plans are not announcements to be broadcast. They are seeds to be protected. They are treasures to be guarded. They are futures to be built in the sacred silence of your own determination. The next time you feel the urge to share your latest idea, your newest goal, your grandest vision, remember this moment. Remember that the seed that grows in darkness becomes the tree that stands in light. Remember that the plan protected in silence becomes the achievement celebrated in public. Remember that true power is not in the telling, but in the doing. Your plans are alive, and like all living things, they need the right environment to flourish. Give them the gift of silence and watch them grow beyond what you ever imagined possible. Number 2, the fatal mistake of revealing the next step. There is a poison that flows freely in the conversations of ambitious people, and they drink it willingly, eagerly, believing it will nourish their dreams. This poison is the premature revelation of their next move, the fatal mistake of turning their strategy into public knowledge before it has had time to solidify into reality. They speak because they believe speaking will somehow make their plans more real, more certain, more likely to succeed. Instead, they have just signed the death warrant of their own ambitions. I have watched this tragedy unfold countless times throughout my reign and beyond. The pattern is always the same. Someone conceives a brilliant plan. They feel the excitement of possibility coursing through their veins. And then, in a moment of weakness disguised as strength, they share it with others. They speak of their next move as if words were actions, as if intentions were results, as if the very act of revelation could somehow guarantee success. What they do not understand is that speaking generates interference the way striking a bell generates vibrations. The moment you reveal your plans to others, you have invited their fears, their doubts, their limitations, and their agendas into the sacred space where your vision was taking shape. Every person who hears your plan will respond from their own experience, their own failures, their own understanding of what is possible, and their response becomes interference in the pure signal of your own knowing. This interference is not neutral. It is not harmless background noise that you can simply ignore. It penetrates your thinking, your decision-making, your confidence in ways that are often invisible until it is too late. Someone questions a detail you had not considered. Another person shares a story of someone who tried something similar and failed. A third offers advice based on their own fears and limitations. Suddenly, the clear vision you once held becomes clouded with doubt. And doubt, once it enters the system, spreads like a disease. What began as a single question about one aspect of your plan becomes a question about the entire foundation. What started as a well-meaning suggestion becomes a complete restructuring of your approach. What appeared to be support becomes the very force that prevents you from moving forward with the clarity and confidence that success requires. I learned this lesson through painful experience early in my reign. I had developed a strategy for expanding trade relationships with distant kingdoms, a plan that would bring unprecedented wealth to Israel. But instead of simply executing this plan, I made the mistake of discussing it in detail with my advisors during a council meeting. Each advisor, drawing from their own experience and perspective, offered modifications, suggestions, warnings, and alternatives. Within days, my clear, focused strategy had become a complicated mess of competing approaches. Instead of one decisive action, I was now considering 12 different variations, each promising to be safer, more effective, more politically sound. The doubt that began with their well-meaning interference grew until I found myself paralyzed, unable to move forward with any approach because I could no longer distinguish between my original wisdom and their projected fears. This is the progression that destroys more dreams than any external obstacle ever could. Speaking generates interference. Interference generates doubt. Doubt generates delay. And delay, in the realm of opportunity and achievement, is often the difference between success and failure. The window that was open when you first conceived your plan may not remain open while you debate its merits with people who were not given your vision. But there is something even more insidious about this process. When you reveal your plans prematurely, you are not just inviting interference from others. You are training yourself to seek external validation for internal decisions. You are teaching yourself that your own judgment is insufficient, that your own vision requires the approval of others before it can be trusted. This is perhaps the most devastating consequence of all, because it transforms you from a creator into a committee, from a leader into someone who needs consensus before they can act. The truly successful understand that great achievements are not democratically planned. They are conceived in the mind of one person, refined through the discipline of that person, and executed with the focused determination of that person. The moment you turn your singular vision into a group project, you have diluted its power and compromised its potential. Consider the greatest achievements in history. They were not born from committee meetings or brainstorming sessions. They emerged from individuals who had the wisdom to keep their own counsel, the courage to trust their own judgment, and the discipline to remain silent about their intentions until they were ready to reveal them through action, not through words. This does not mean you should never seek advice or guidance, but there is a profound difference between strategically consulting with carefully chosen mentors and casually sharing your plans with anyone who will listen. There is wisdom in selective counsel and folly in general announcement. The next time you feel compelled to share your latest strategy, ask yourself this question: am I seeking to strengthen my plan, or am I seeking to feel better about my plan? If the answer is the latter, then what you are about to do will likely weaken both your plan and your ability to execute it with the focused determination that success demands. True power lies not in the eloquence with which you can describe your intentions, but in the precision with which you can execute them in silence. Keep your next step to yourself, and watch how much more powerfully you are able to take it. Number 3. Solomon's wisdom on strategy. When I sat upon the throne of Israel, I possessed something that most rulers before me and after me never understood. The knowledge that true power is not demonstrated through the revelation of strategy, but through the flawless execution of plans that no one saw coming. This was not paranoia or secrecy for its own sake. This was wisdom distilled from the fundamental understanding of how power actually works in the world. Kings do not reveal moves before the right time, not because they are deceptive, but because they understand that premature revelation is the enemy of successful execution. Every great military commander knows this principle. You do not announce your battle strategy to the enemy. You do not reveal your positioning before the engagement begins. You do not explain your tactics while they are still being implemented. And yet, in the realm of personal achievement, business success, and life transformation, most people violate this basic principle every single day. They announce their business plans before they have secured funding. They reveal their investment strategies before they have positioned themselves properly. They discuss their career moves before they have created the conditions necessary for success. They believe that talking about their intentions somehow makes those intentions more likely to manifest. They have confused explanation with execution, announcement with achievement. During my reign, I made decisions that would reshape the economic and political landscape of the entire region. I established trade relationships that would endure for generations. I built structures that would stand for thousands of years. I created systems of governance that would serve as models for future civilizations. But none of these achievements began with public declarations or detailed explanations of my methodology. Instead, they began in the quiet chambers of my own contemplation, where I could think without interference, plan without pressure, and refine my approach without the contamination of external opinions. When the time came to act, I acted with such precision and certainty that others could only witness the results and marvel at what seemed to emerge from nowhere. This is the difference between those who know what they are doing and those who need to explain what they are doing. Those who truly understand their craft, their purpose, their path forward do not require the validation that comes from sharing their plans with others. Their confidence comes not from external approval, but from internal clarity. They do not need to convince others because they have already convinced themselves. I remember receiving visits from rulers of neighboring kingdoms who would spend hours explaining their grand strategies for expansion, their elaborate plans for economic growth, their detailed approaches to military superiority. They spoke with great eloquence about their intentions, their methodologies, their expected outcomes. And yet, as I listened, I realized that their need to explain was actually evidence of their uncertainty. They were not seeking my advice. They were seeking my approval, my validation of approaches they were not fully confident in themselves. Meanwhile, the kingdoms that truly thrived, the rulers who actually achieved lasting success, were the ones who appeared less frequently in my court. They were busy implementing strategies so well conceived and carefully executed that they did not need to be explained until they were already producing results. Power lies in silent execution, because silence eliminates the variables that destroy most plans before they can succeed. When you operate in silence, you eliminate political interference. You remove the pressure of others' expectations. You avoid the contamination of their fears and limitations. You create space for your own wisdom to emerge and guide your decisions without competing with the noise of external voices. But perhaps most importantly, silent execution allows you to maintain what I call strategic flexibility. When you have not committed publicly to a specific approach, you retain the ability to adapt, to modify, to completely change direction if circumstances require it. You can make mistakes and correct them without losing face. You can discover better methods without having to explain why your previous approach was insufficient. This flexibility is one of the greatest advantages of silence. It allows you to remain responsive to reality rather than committed to a plan that may no longer serve your objectives. How many people continue with strategies that are clearly failing simply because they have announced those strategies publicly and feel obligated to see them through? How many opportunities are lost because someone cannot admit that their publicly declared approach needs to be abandoned? The truly wise understand that strategy is a living, evolving entity. It must be allowed to grow and change in response to new information, changing circumstances, and deeper understanding. But this natural evolution can only occur in the protective environment of silence, where adaptation is seen as wisdom rather than weakness. When I built the first temple, I did not begin by announcing to the world that I intended to create the most magnificent structure ever conceived. Instead, I began by quietly assembling the finest craftsmen, carefully selecting the most precious materials, and methodically planning every detail of construction. Only when the foundation was laid, only when success was inevitable, did others become aware of what I was creating. By that time, the project had its own momentum. The vision had already proven itself through initial results. The team was committed not to an idea, but to a reality that was already taking shape. This is the power of silent execution. It transforms possibility into inevitability before anyone has the opportunity to interfere with the process. This is not about being secretive or deceptive. This is about being strategic. This is about understanding that your greatest achievements will emerge not from the plans you announce, but from the vision you protect, nurture, and implement with the focused determination of someone who knows that true power reveals itself through results, not through promises. The next time you feel compelled to explain your strategy, remember that explanation is often the enemy of execution. Instead of talking about what you plan to do, simply do it. Let your results be your announcement. Let your achievements be your strategy revealed. Number 4, why people talk too much. There is a hunger that drives most people to speak about their plans, a desperate craving that masquerades as confidence but reveals itself as the deepest form of insecurity. They talk because they are not seeking results. They are seeking validation. They speak not to clarify their thinking, but to feel important. They share their plans not to strengthen them, but to experience the temporary satisfaction of being seen as someone who has plans worth sharing. This is the tragedy I observe in the vast majority of those who dream big but achieve little. They have confused the feeling of being supported with the actual support that leads to success. They have mistaken applause for achievement, encouragement for energy, conversation for commitment. They talk too much because they fundamentally misunderstand what it takes to transform possibility into reality. When someone reveals their plans to others, what they are really saying is this: I need you to believe in this dream because I do not fully believe in it myself. I need you to validate this approach because I am not certain it will work. I need you to encourage me because I do not have the internal resources necessary to sustain myself through the difficult process of making this vision real. This is why their talking becomes a substitute for action rather than a preparation for it. Every conversation about their plans provides a small dose of the satisfaction they imagine they will feel when those plans actually succeed. But because they are receiving that satisfaction prematurely, through words rather than through work, they reduce the internal pressure that would otherwise drive them to take the difficult actions that success requires. I have seen this pattern repeat itself throughout my reign and beyond. The merchant who spends more time describing his business strategy than implementing it. The warrior who talks endlessly about his training regimen but never actually improves his skills. The builder who can explain in elaborate detail how his structure will surpass all others, but who never lays the first stone. They are all seeking the same thing, the feeling of being successful without having to do the work that success demands. But there is something even more destructive about this pattern. When you consistently choose validation over results, you train yourself to value the opinion of others more than your own judgment. You become dependent on external approval for internal decisions. You start to believe that your plans are only as good as others think they are, rather than trusting the vision that originated within your own mind and heart. This dependency becomes a prison that prevents you from taking the bold, unconventional, sometimes unpopular actions that breakthrough achievements often require. Instead of following your own strategic instincts, you find yourself modifying your approach to maintain the approval of people who were never meant to understand or support your particular vision. The confusion between support and noise is perhaps the most dangerous misconception of all. True support does not come from people who applaud your plans. It comes from people who create conditions that make your success more likely. True support is not emotional encouragement. It is practical assistance, strategic resources, or simply the wisdom to remain silent while you do what needs to be done. But most people cannot distinguish between these two forms of response. They interpret any positive reaction to their plans as support, when in reality, much of what they receive is simply noise. People who have no ability to actually help them succeed offering enthusiasm that feels supportive, but provides no practical value. People who have never achieved what they are attempting offering advice that feels helpful, but lacks the foundation of real experience. This noise creates the illusion of progress without actual forward movement. It provides the sensation of building something without laying any real foundation. And because it feels good, because it satisfies the immediate need for validation, it becomes addictive. The person begins to prefer talking about their plans to actually implementing them, because talking provides immediate gratification, while implementation requires sustained effort with delayed rewards. There is also the matter of premature celebration. When you share your plans and others respond with excitement, praise, and encouragement, your brain interprets this as partial achievement of your goals. You experience some of the emotional satisfaction that you expected to feel when you actually succeeded. But this premature celebration reduces your motivation to do the difficult work that real success demands. Studies of human psychology have confirmed what I observed centuries ago. People who talk about their goals are actually less likely to achieve them than people who keep their goals to themselves. This is because the act of sharing creates a false sense of accomplishment that reduces the internal tension necessary to drive sustained action. They want applause before achievement because applause feels better than work. It provides immediate satisfaction without immediate sacrifice. It offers the social recognition that successful people receive without requiring the competence that successful people develop. But this applause is empty, meaningless, and ultimately destructive to the very goals it pretends to support. The truly successful understand that there is a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for sharing and a time for protecting. They know that the energy spent seeking validation could be better invested in building competence. They realize that the hours spent describing their plans could be more productively used implementing them. When you feel the urge to talk about what you are planning to do, ask yourself this question. Am I sharing this because it will make my success more likely, or am I sharing this because it will make me feel better about myself? If the answer is the latter, then you are about to trade your future achievement for present validation. You are about to choose the temporary satisfaction of being seen as ambitious over the lasting fulfillment of actually becoming successful. True confidence does not require external validation. True strength does not need to be announced. True power reveals itself through results, not through the eloquence with which those results are predicted. Number 5. Silence as a competitive advantage. In the marketplace of achievement, where everyone is competing for the same opportunities, the same resources, the same recognition, most people make the fundamental mistake of believing that visibility equals advantage. They assume that the more others know about their plans, their strategies, their intentions, the more likely they are to succeed. They have it exactly backwards. In reality, invisibility is the ultimate competitive advantage, and silence is the most powerful weapon in the arsenal of anyone serious about achieving extraordinary results. When you operate in silence, you possess something that your competitors cannot obtain: complete freedom from interference. No one can sabotage what they do not know exists. No one can copy what they cannot see. No one can undermine what they are not aware of. While others waste energy defending their announced plans from criticism, theft, and interference, you are free to focus entirely on execution. This principle became clear to me during the early years of my reign, when I was establishing the trade networks that would eventually make Israel the wealthiest kingdom in the region. Other rulers were constantly announcing their trade initiatives, forming public alliances, declaring their intentions to expand into new markets. They believed that these announcements would intimidate competitors and attract partners. Instead, they created a situation where every move they made was anticipated, every strategy was countered, every advantage was neutralized before it could be fully realized. I chose a different approach. I quietly identified the most promising trade routes, discreetly established relationships with key merchants, and carefully positioned Israel to capitalize on opportunities that others did not even know existed. By the time my competitors realized what was happening, the strategic advantages were already locked in. The relationships were already established. The profitable arrangements were already in place. This is the power of acting without external pressure. When no one is watching, when no one is expecting immediate results, when no one is questioning your methods, you can take the time necessary to build something properly. You can make mistakes and correct them without public embarrassment. You can change direction without having to explain why your previous approach was insufficient. You can experiment, adapt, and evolve your strategy based on real feedback rather than theoretical advice. But perhaps most importantly, you can operate according to your own timeline rather than the timeline that others expect. Most great achievements require more time than initially anticipated. They involve setbacks, delays, and periods of apparent inactivity that are actually essential parts of the overall process. When you have announced your plans publicly, these natural rhythms of development are interpreted as failures, delays, or signs that your strategy is flawed. The pressure to show consistent, visible progress can force you to make premature decisions, to skip essential steps, or to settle for inferior results simply to maintain the appearance of success. But when you operate in silence, you can allow your projects to develop at their natural pace. You can take the time needed to get them right rather than rushing to get them done quickly enough to satisfy external expectations. Your mistakes are corrected in private, which means they never become public failures that damage your reputation or reduce others' confidence in your abilities. Every successful person makes numerous mistakes during the process of achieving their goals. The difference is whether those mistakes become public knowledge that undermines future opportunities or private learning that strengthens future performance. When I was designing the temple that would become one of the architectural wonders of the ancient world, I made countless adjustments to the original plans. I changed materials, modified dimensions, completely redesigned entire sections as I gained deeper understanding of what would actually work. If these changes had been made in public, they would have been seen as signs of poor planning, incompetence, or indecision. Instead, because they were made in private, they were simply part of the natural refinement process that led to extraordinary results. This privacy also allows you to learn from failures without those failures becoming permanent marks against your reputation. In silence, a failed approach is simply information that guides you toward a better method. In public, a failed approach becomes evidence that you do not know what you are doing, which can make it difficult to attract the resources, partners, or opportunities necessary for future success. The competitive advantage of silence extends beyond protection from interference. It also includes the element of surprise, which can be decisive in almost any form of competition. When your competitors do not know what you are planning, they cannot position themselves to counter your moves. When they are unaware of your capabilities, they cannot develop strategies specifically designed to neutralize your strengths. I have seen entire kingdoms fall because their rulers were so focused on the threats they could see that they were completely unprepared for the actions of competitors who had been building strength in silence. The most devastating attacks, the most successful business strategies, the most effective personal transformations often come from directions that no one was watching because no one knew to watch. But there is another dimension to this advantage that most people never consider. When you consistently deliver results that others did not expect, you develop a reputation for possessing capabilities that cannot be easily measured or predicted. This creates a psychological advantage that extends far beyond any specific achievement. People begin to assume that you know things they do not know, that you have access to resources they cannot see, that you are capable of actions they cannot anticipate. This assumption often becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, as others become less likely to compete directly with you and more likely to seek ways to benefit from association with you. The ultimate competitive advantage of silence is that it transforms you from someone who competes for opportunities into someone who creates opportunities. Instead of fighting for your share of existing possibilities, you develop the ability to identify and develop possibilities that others have not yet discovered. This is the difference between reactive and proactive success. Reactive success involves responding to known opportunities more effectively than others. Proactive success involves creating new opportunities that did not previously exist. And new opportunities are almost always created in silence, by people who understand that the greatest achievements emerge not from public competition, but from private preparation. When you master the strategic use of silence, you become someone who shapes the game rather than simply playing it more skillfully than others. This is the ultimate competitive advantage. The ability to succeed on terms that you define, rather than terms that others establish. Number 6, with whom, if anyone, you should speak. The question is not whether you should ever share your plans with anyone. The question is whether you have the wisdom to distinguish between those rare individuals who can genuinely strengthen your vision and the vast majority who will, despite their good intentions, weaken it through their involvement. This distinction is not about intelligence, education, or even success in their own endeavors. It is about something far more subtle and far more important. The ability to build rather than merely evaluate, to protect rather than question, to strengthen rather than scrutinize. Most people, when they hear your plans, immediately become critics. This is not because they wish you harm, but because their minds are naturally oriented toward finding problems, identifying obstacles, and protecting you from potential failure. They believe they are being helpful when they point out everything that could go wrong, every reason your approach might not succeed, every variable you may not have considered. But this critical orientation, however well-intentioned, is destructive to plans that are still in their formative stages. What you need, in those rare moments when you choose to share your vision with another person, is not criticism but cultivation. You need someone who can see the potential in what you are building and help you strengthen it, rather than someone who can see the problems and help you worry about them. You need someone whose first instinct is to ask how they can help rather than why it might not work. Only share your plans with those who build more than they opine. These are individuals who have demonstrated, through their own achievements, that they understand the difference between planning and pontificating, between doing and discussing. They are people whose track record shows that they can take a vision and make it real rather than people who can take a vision and explain why it cannot be realized. This distinction is crucial because it determines whether the conversation will add energy to your project or drain energy from it. When you speak with someone who builds, they respond to your plans by offering resources, connections, strategies, or support that moves you closer to your goals. When you speak with someone whose primary talent is opinion rather than action, they respond with analysis, questions, concerns, and suggestions that, however thoughtful, do not actually advance your cause. I learned this lesson through painful experience early in my reign. I had developed a plan for creating a new system of governance that would increase prosperity throughout the kingdom while maintaining peace with neighboring regions. Eager to refine this plan, I shared it with several advisors whose intelligence and education I respected. Each of them offered detailed feedback, sophisticated analysis, and well-reasoned concerns about various aspects of the proposal. After weeks of these discussions, I realized that my clear, actionable plan had become a complicated theoretical exercise that existed more in conversation than in reality. The advisors had helped me think about the plan more thoroughly, but they had not helped me implement it more effectively. In fact, their involvement had made implementation less likely rather than more likely, because I was now more focused on addressing their concerns than on taking the actions that would produce results. This taught me to distinguish between mentors and the merely curious. Mentors are people who have successfully navigated the type of challenge you are facing and who are genuinely invested in helping you achieve similar success. They offer guidance based on their own experience of turning vision into reality. The merely curious are people who find your plans interesting and enjoy discussing them, but who have no real commitment to your success and no relevant experience to offer. The difference between these two types of people becomes clear in how they respond to your plans. Mentors ask practical questions. What is your first step? What resources do you need? What obstacles do you anticipate? How can I help? The merely curious ask theoretical questions. Have you considered this potential problem? What will you do if this scenario occurs? Are you sure this approach will work? Mentors focus on execution. The curious focus on evaluation. Mentors help you move forward. The curious help you think in circles. Mentors strengthen your resolve. The curious introduce doubt disguised as wisdom. But even among genuine mentors, there is another crucial distinction to make. You want people who protect your vision rather than people who question it. This does not mean you want people who never challenge your thinking or who agree with everything you propose. It means you want people who challenge you from a foundation of belief in your potential, rather than from a foundation of skepticism about your chances. People who protect your vision will point out flaws in your strategy in order to help you strengthen it. People who question your vision will point out flaws in your strategy to help you abandon it. The feedback may sound similar, but the intention and the effect are completely different. I remember a conversation with a wise merchant who had built successful trading relationships across 3 continents. When I shared with him my plans for expanding Israel's commercial influence, he immediately identified several potential obstacles that I had not fully considered. But instead of using these obstacles as reasons why my plan might fail, he used them as starting points for developing solutions. Instead of weakening my confidence in the vision, his input strengthened my ability to realize it. This is what it means to find people who build more than they opine, mentors rather than the merely curious, people who protect rather than people who question. These individuals are rare, but they are not impossible to find. They reveal themselves through their own achievements, their response to your success, and their willingness to offer concrete support rather than abstract advice. When you do find such a person, the relationship becomes invaluable. They become not just advisors but allies in the truest sense, people who are genuinely invested in helping you achieve what you have set out to accomplish. But until you find them, until you can clearly identify them, the safer course is silence. Remember that your vision came to you for a reason. It emerged from your unique perspective, your particular combination of experience and insight, your individual understanding of what is possible and what is necessary. Most people, no matter how intelligent or well-intentioned, do not share this perspective. They cannot see what you see or understand why what seems obvious to you is not obvious to them. This is why premature sharing so often leads to diluted vision rather than strengthened strategy. When you speak with the wrong people about your plans, you end up trying to explain or defend what should never need explanation or defense. You find yourself modifying your approach to address concerns that are based on limitations that do not actually apply to your situation. The right person to share your plans with is someone who can see what you see, who can build upon what you have started, who can help you realize your vision more completely rather than helping you question whether that vision is worth pursuing. Number 7, the right time to reveal. There comes a moment in every great achievement when silence transforms from protection into proclamation, when what was once hidden becomes ready to be revealed, when the careful secrecy that allowed your vision to grow finally gives way to the confident sharing that allows your success to inspire others. But this moment cannot be forced, cannot be rushed, and cannot be determined by your desire for recognition or your need for validation. It can only be recognized by those who understand the difference between potential and reality, between intention and accomplishment, between promise and proof. The right time to reveal your plans is when the result already exists, not when you are confident it will exist, not when you have taken significant steps toward making it exist, but when it has crossed the threshold from possibility into actuality. When your business is already generating revenue, not when you have a business plan. When your skills have already been developed, not when you have a training schedule. When your transformation has already occurred, not when you have decided to change. This timing is crucial because it eliminates the most dangerous variable in any achievement. The gap between intention and execution that allows doubt, interference, and abandonment to destroy what could have been success. When you reveal results rather than plans, you are sharing from a position of strength rather than vulnerability. You are offering proof rather than seeking support. You are demonstrating capability rather than declaring ambition. I learned this principle during the construction of the temple, which would become one of the architectural marvels of the ancient world. For years, I worked in relative silence, assembling materials, training craftsmen, refining designs, solving problems that others could not even see. There were moments when the pressure to share what I was building became almost overwhelming. Advisors questioned the resources being devoted to unknown projects. Citizens wondered why so much activity was occurring without explanation. Neighboring rulers speculated about what I might be planning. But I understood that premature revelation would have introduced complications that could have compromised the entire endeavor. Questions about cost would have led to pressure to reduce quality. Concerns about timeline would have led to pressure to rush construction. Opinions about design would have led to pressure to modify the vision based on the preferences of people who did not understand what I was trying to create. Instead, I waited until the temple stood in its full glory, until its beauty and significance were undeniable, until the reality of what had been accomplished made any discussion of whether it should have been attempted irrelevant. Only then did I reveal what I had been building. Only then did I explain the vision that had guided the work. Only then did I share the process that had made the result possible. This is when nothing can be stopped anymore. When your achievement has reached the point where it possesses its own momentum, its own credibility, its own power to convince even the skeptics. When the results speak so loudly that they drown out any criticism of the methods used to produce them. When success has become so evident that those who might have opposed your plans now want to understand how they can achieve similar results. There is profound wisdom in this timing because it transforms the entire nature of the conversation. Instead of defending your plans against criticism, you are sharing your methods in response to curiosity. Instead of seeking permission to proceed, you are offering insight to those who want to learn. Instead of trying to convince others that your approach will work, you are explaining to others how it did work. This shift in context completely changes the value of what you share. When you reveal plans prematurely, you are giving away strategic advantage in exchange for emotional support. When you reveal results at the proper time, you are sharing wisdom that can benefit others without diminishing your own position. You are teaching rather than seeking, giving rather than taking, inspiring rather than hoping for inspiration. But there is another dimension to proper timing that most people never consider. When silence has fulfilled its purpose, continued silence becomes a form of selfishness rather than wisdom. The same protective discretion that was essential during the building phase becomes unnecessary once the building is complete. At that point, your obligation shifts from protecting your vision to sharing what you have learned in the process of making that vision real. This is why so many great achievements ultimately become greater by being shared. The knowledge gained through successful execution becomes a resource that can help others achieve their own extraordinary results. The methods that proved effective become tools that others can adapt to their own circumstances. The inspiration that comes from seeing what is possible becomes fuel for achievements that might never have been attempted otherwise. I have seen the power of this principle in every area of human achievement. The entrepreneur who remains silent about their business strategy until that business is already successful, then shares their knowledge in ways that create entire industries. The artist who works in solitude until their vision is fully realized, then reveals their work in ways that transform entire cultures. The leader who develops their capabilities in private until those capabilities are proven through results, then uses their influence to benefit countless others. This is the natural progression from protection to proclamation, from privacy to teaching, from building in silence to inspiring through example. But this progression only works when the timing is right, when silence has accomplished its purpose, when the achievement has reached the point where sharing strengthens rather than weakens what has been built. The challenge for most people is recognizing this moment when it arrives. There is often a strong temptation to reveal results too early, when success seems inevitable but is not yet complete. This premature sharing can still introduce complications that undermine what would otherwise have been certain achievement. The key is to wait until absolutely nothing can prevent the success from being fully realized. When you reach that point, when your achievement has become undeniable reality, when silence has served its purpose and fulfilled its function, then speaking becomes not just appropriate but necessary. Then revelation becomes the natural completion of the creative process. Then sharing becomes the final step in transforming your personal success into contribution to the world. This is when silence transforms into its highest purpose, not to hide what you have accomplished, but to ensure that what you have accomplished can serve as proof of what others can accomplish as well. Picture yourself standing before a mirror at this very moment. Look into your own eyes and ask yourself this question. What dreams are you carrying that the world has never heard you speak about? What visions live in the quiet chambers of your heart, protected from the noise of opinions, safe from the interference of those who were never meant to understand them? These are your most precious possessions. These are the seeds of your future greatness. In the silence that surrounds them, they are growing stronger, more refined, more powerful than any dream that has been diluted by premature sharing. Every day you choose to protect them rather than parade them. You are exercising the same wisdom that transformed a young king into the richest man in history. The world is full of people who announce their intentions like morning roosters, crowing loudly about what they will accomplish when the sun rises. But you have learned something they have not discovered. You understand that the sun rises not because the rooster crows, but because the earth turns in perfect silence, following laws that need no announcement, creating light that speaks for itself. Your transformation begins the moment you close your mouth and open your future. Your power grows not through the eloquence of your promises, but through the precision of your actions. Every plan you keep to yourself becomes a step toward becoming someone the world will notice, not because of what you said you would do, but because of what you actually did. If you are ready to walk this path of strategic silence, if you are prepared to build your empire in the shadows until it stands in the light, then join this journey of continuous discovery. Subscribe not just to these teachings, but to the person you are becoming when you choose wisdom over validation, silence over applause, results over recognition. The greatest achievements in human history were built by those who understood that true power whispers while weakness shouts.